you can come in and feel the Lord. I want to feel him like I felt him before. No, I want you to mature, and I want you to recognize that if you want the glory of God, you're going to have to get up and get it yourself. And you're going to have to have ownership of what you want from God. And when you want something from God, you got to recognize that if it's out there, God's doing it. What can I do to get God to do it for me? So a lot of people don't want to think about those kind of things, but I bear the scars of sacrifice. I bear it in my house. I bear it with my children. I bear it with the years of doing one thing, being out in one place, and they being somewhere else. Why, I make the sacrifice. People don't think about stuff like this. Are we glad to have what we got today, but we fail to recognize there's a cost to get anything. Somebody paid the cost for you to be where you are today. We talk about Martin Luther King Jr. We talk about the cost he paid. Thank God for the little movie on Selma. Had some good things about it. Some things, it's kind of, makes you wonder about why they show all that stuff. Just tell me about the good of the man. I don't want to know about the bad of him. I can find out the bad through my own. I don't need all that stuff. But here it is. I want you to understand that God got guarantees, things that moves him. Here it is. You want to understand how to move God. Here it is in this particular text. The Lord makes it very clear that everything starts with honor. Everybody say honor. Honor deals with respect. Honor deals with esteem. You have to esteem God to be the most significant one in your life. Now, I know some of us are taught that there are some very important people in our life. There's some people in our life that just mean the world to us. Let me share this with you. Share this with you again. You have to understand that one of the things that's important to God is the fact that God don't want you to take him for granted and take him to think that he doesn't deserve from you good things. Now, here is the thing that I want you to hear about this, because it is easy for you to believe that God is absolutely does not need anything from you, so you don't have to give him nothing. And let me tell you that is absolutely not the mentality that you want to have. He owns everything, but he want to be treated good. Look at your neighbor and say, he want to be treated good. He owns everything, but he wants to be treated how? Come on, say it. Say, he wants to be treated good. Say that. He wants to be treated good. He wants to be treated with some respect. Some respect. Respect that says, if he's good to you, then should you be less than good to him? If he has given everything that you have, should you not have in you an appreciation for him? Or should you constantly have it in your mind, that's all he's supposed to do is give to me. That's all he's supposed to do is give to me. All he's supposed to do is just do for me. And that whole idea is not the way God wants you to see him. I got 4 kids. And there's one thing I want my kids to do is to know that I will provide for them. But at the same time, I want to believe that my kids not only know that I provide for them, but when they look at me, that they see me for being more than just a sweet daddy, but they recognize that sweet daddy need to be treated with some what? Respect. So it starts by honoring me. And you know the best honor my kid can do for me is do what I say. Because me as a father, don't kill the brand. Don't kill the name. Do something with what God has allowed me to bless you with. Understand that when God has given to us whatever we have, we need to have the idea that there's nothing too good for him. There's nothing that I have that God do not deserve, because everything I got is his. He gave it to me. He gave it to me. If everything on the table that you are eating, that you have in your house, he lays it out on the table. And he says, all of this you got, I gave it to you. And then when it comes time to give it to him, you say, I can't afford it. How can you not afford when everything you got come from it? So the problem is that our honor system is our problem, because sometimes we forget, and we forget because of the fact that we don't have the right relationship with someone who provides for. You know, one of the reasons the Bible tells us honor your mother and your father, because if you learn to honor your parents, you'll learn that it's right for you to want to do for them, because all they've done is what? Is do for you. And if you never get it in your mind you want to do for your parents, then you know that you missed it. You know that you missed it in life, because if they provided for you and everything they done to sacrifice for you, then you mean to tell me that you got something and it's their birthday and you ain't gonna give nothing to your parent? Or you got money, you can take them to dinner, you can feed them, but you don't ever want to do nothing for them? You see, you never really honored your parents, because when you honor somebody, you esteem them to be great. You esteem them to be worthy of. And when you esteem to be worthy of, then you recognize that one of the things I got to do is give to someone who's given to me. And that's mean giving back to him. So that's what the Bible's teaching us. It said, honor the Lord with thy substance. Here is God's guarantee. If you learn to honor God, God's going to honor you. And that's what I want you to understand. And he says that real quickly in the book of 1 Samuel chapter number 2. Let me get there for you. And I want to show you the feelings of God when you begin to honor him. If you honor him, he's going to honor you. In the book of 1 Samuel chapter number 2, verse number 30, wherefore the Lord God of Israel said, I said indeed that thy house and the house of thy father shall walk before me forever. He said, but now the Lord said, be it far from me, them that honor me I will honor. Them that honor me I will honor. And they that despise me shall be lightly esteemed. God said, if you don't want to honor me and you despise me, I'm the one blessing you. I'm the one that put you where you are. He said, guess what? I ain't going to honor you. And he said, but if you honor me, I'll honor you. So here is what he says, and here is what I learned. If I learn to honor him, I can always look for his good. I can always look for his guarantee, because if I take the attitude that God, I am going to honor you because you know what? Look at what you've done for me. Look at how you have given to me. And because you've given so much to me, I want to honor you. I want to really, really treat you good. So back here in Proverbs chapter 3, verse number 9 and 10, he said that's where you start. Started with your substance. Honor the Lord with thy substance. Right there in 2 Kings chapter number 4, where I told you to go to. Let me show you what happens when you honor. Let me show you an example of what a man does that honored him. And look at what happened. And the Bible tells us this man honored the Lord with his substance. Look what he said, verse number 42. Now, there was a famine in the land. In verse number 38, Elijah came to Gilgal, and there was a dearth in the land. And the sons of the prophet were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, set on the great pot and seize the pottage for the sons of the prophet. Now back to verse 38, the beginning of it. Elijah came to Gilgal, and there was a dearth in the land. Now, when there was a famine in the land, when there was a dearth in the land, this is what I want you to think about, because sometimes people go through famines. Sometimes your house can go through a famine. Sometimes your life can experience a dearth or a shortage. And when you experience a dearth or a shortage, you want to know how to handle it when it happens. In this scripture, when the land received a famine, there was a shortage. That means there wasn't much around to eat. And it was affecting the sons of the prophet. Elijah comes where the sons of the prophet were, and they were starving, they were hungry, and they needed provisions, and there was no provisions hardly around. And the Lord worked a miracle to feed them. He worked a miracle. And then there was another miracle that takes place in verse number 42, because there was a man from Baal Shalisha in verse number 42. And this man brought the man of God some bread and the first fruits of 20 loaves of barley and 4 ears of corn in the husk. So he brought to the man of God in a famine first fruit. Now notice what he bought. What is he's doing? He takes of his substance. First fruit meant this is the first part of a harvest. This is a harvest during the time of a famine. But yet there was a harvest. And the man in the time of the harvest in a famine remembered, I got to bring to God my first fruit. And what he does, back to Proverbs 3:9 and 10, he honors God even though there is a famine. And he brings the first fruit of what he got from his field. Now I want you to understand, when there's a famine or dirt or drought, that means there's not any rain. That meant that the sun is scorching and that the people don't have any rain. And how many of you know you can't grow anything on the earth if there is no rain? If there's no rain, the ground is hard. If the ground is hard, then you cannot have any seeds that's going to be fertilized. So in the time of a famine, this man evidently has some fruits that he got from the first of his seeding on the ground. So the first harvest, he brings it to the prophet, and he honors the Lord with the covenant story or a commandment that God gave, and that is honor the Lord with thy what? Substance. So he brings it to the man of God, and it's a famine. I want you to remember, it's a famine. He brings it to the man of God. The moment he gives it and brings it, he got God's guarantee. The moment he gives it, even though there's a famine, even though people got shortages, even though people are starving and people are hungry, the moment he does what God says. Now, it's sometimes difficult for people to believe that when things are difficult financially or difficult in your life, that you can change your situation just by honoring what God said. But let me tell you something. You can change whatever's going on in your life. I don't care how dirty, how dark, how difficult it is. If you turn around and say, God, what am I not doing that I can do that can change things in my life? And here it is. You can always go back and check to see whether you're really honoring God like you ought to. And if you start checking your honor of God and say, am I esteeming him? Am I looking at my situation too much? Am I not? Is there something, God, that I can do that can change my situation? This man in the famine brings to God the first that he had. Now, a miracle is going to happen for those who receive what he has, because God's going to multiply to them. But God is going to multiply for the people that are going to receive the bread and going to receive the corn. But notice what God is going to do for the man that gives it. You see, don't you understand that the world we're living in don't want us to understand that God can bless you abundantly when you learn to honor him? And let me tell you about giving. Giving ain't about trying to get God give something for his sake. God's trying to give you to get you to give for your sake. And for your sake, when you want God to really bless you, you got to say, God, what makes you want to bless me? And God said, it's how you honor me. It's how you reverence me. It's how you recognize that I know you said you got needs. I know you said you got things you want to do. He said, but let me ask you something. Is there something you owe me? And God says, what you owe me is what you need to give to me. And you need to not have the attitude that you don't want to give to me. You got to have the attitude, I want to give to you. I want to give to God. You see, most of us come in the house of God, and sometimes we just come to get from God. But don't you know, open your hand up. God wants you to have something in your hand. He wants you to believe that when I come before God, I want to not come empty-handed. I want to come with an idea that I come to honor the one who is so good to me. Because when we come in the house of God, we come with transportation. Somebody had gas to get here. Somebody had a car or vehicle to get you here. And everything you got that got you in the house of God, God said, that's your substance that I gave to you. And he said, if you got substance from me, then do you not think that I deserve to get from you? Because am I not worthy of it? If everything you got come from me, am I not worthy of what you have? Brothers and sisters, he is worthy of it. He is worthy of what we got. And we don't need to be a hoarder and just hoarding and just say, you know, I got this and I got that. You know, I remember I remember sometime when we taking time with our children, and one of the things we try to teach our kids when they were young, that we give to them all the time. But then we try to teach them, now you got to give back to us. You got to give. So when my kids were little, we used to take little times where we would just give to them. And then as we give them what we give them, then we start trying to pick out from what we've given them and say, can I eat this? Can I eat what you have? And our kids, as they were young, sometimes because they liked what they had, sometimes they didn't want to share it with us. So we would try to teach them that we are the ones who gave to you. Freely you receive, it ought to be freely you give. In other words, everything you got, we're the ones who gave it to you. So we would teach them how to share. And you see, the problem here, if you don't ever teach the children to share, then they would always believe that all you are is a giver. And that's all God's trying to tell us. He said, you think I need your stuff? He said, I don't need your stuff. I own the earth. I'm just trying to teach you how to share. Because if you don't learn how to share, you'll be a selfish person. If you don't learn how to share, you'll be a spoiled individual. And who can live with somebody who don't ever want to give anything to them? Who can live with anybody? How can you live with somebody and have a life with somebody when all they want is all about them all the time? It's never that they share with you. You see what God is saying? If you understand that sharing with me is going to bless your life, it's sharing with me is not only going to bless you, it's going to give you an abundance abundance of blessing. He said, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to fill you up with a whole lot more. In other words, what you got, you ain't seen how much I'm going to give back to you. You ain't seen how much I'm going to load you with. You ain't seen how much I'm going to give to you. I'm just trying to get you to share with me because I'm the one that's providing it for you. I'm the one that's giving it to you. And because I gave it to you, I can't let you treat me like I don't deserve anything. I deserve something from you. And I deserve something that's tangible. I deserve something that you say, God, it is from you. Everything I got from you. And because you gave it to me, here's my guarantee back to you. I want you to say, God, if you give it to me, you can count on me giving to you. If you bless me, you can count on me blessing you back. I can guarantee to you that the more you bless me, the more I'm going to bless you. The more you share with me, the more I'm going to share with you. As I close this message, understand that God is saying to you, it's all about a heart issue. It's a heart issue. I'm just trying to get into your heart to understand that giving is what you're supposed to do. It's a heart issue. It's not a H-A-R-D issue. It's a heart issue. If you recognize that I am the one that's going to bless you. Now let me share this with you. When the prophet received bread of the first fruit from the man, it means that God will always make sure you got it. Look at your neighbor and say, God will always make sure you got it. That's why I like what David said when he said, the Lord is my bread. The Lord is my shepherd. You see, God will always make sure you got it. That's why you got to learn to give to him. He said his seed will never beg bread. God will never let you be a person that would never have. If you learn to share with him, you got to share with God so God can share back with you. And if you do it, he said, not only will I bless you, he said, I'll make sure you got an overflow. I'll make sure you got an abundance. I'll make sure you got more than you could ever imagine. And I'm going to tell you, as I close this message, this is God's guarantee. It'll change your life. If you wake up to this, it will change your results. It will change how much you got now. If you want more, then you got to share more with God. If you want more abundance, you got to be liberal with God. Now I got to tell you this because I want you to understand when I preach about giving, there is this idea that don't talk about giving, Pastor, because people are stingy and people are having a hard time. And when people are having a hard time, they get depressed over people talking about giving in the church. But you see, you understand, you ain't giving in the church, you giving to God. And when you giving to God, you're going to get a return. And if you don't understand that, then why you put your money in the bank? Why you put it in a saving account? Why don't you look for an interest rate that would give you back on your money? Don't you know if you can put a savings and put an annuity and you can put in an IRA and look for a return on your investment? Look at your neighbor and say, give it to God and get God's return. God got a return that's better than anybody else's return. And God says, I'm going to bless you abundantly. Now I understand that most people struggle with giving because you don't understand that I know the ground sometimes that I'm preaching to when I talk about giving is a hard ground. It's a ground that's hard because people are stingy. They only want God to be the blessing. They only
want God to be the giver, and I want God to be the receiver. Look at your neighbor, say, let God be a receiver. If he's given so much to you, he ought to be a receiver. Let God be a receiver. Don't you know, when I was teaching my babies how to give, I didn't need their food. I didn't even want their food. I would give it right back to them. But I wanted to teach them, if you learn to share, that's what you gotta be. You got to be a sharer. Brothers and sisters, the ground when you preach about giving is a hard ground. The Bible said to Adam, he said the ground is going to come and it's going to give back to you thorns and thistles. And sometimes when you talk about giving, you get thorns and thistles. People become hard. And when you start dropping seeds down, you drop it on some hard, thorny soil, and the thistles begin to come back to you when you talk about giving, because people got a hard heart when it comes about giving. But if you talk about receiving, people get all excited because they want to receive. But we want to receive at the measure of giving nothing. We want to receive at the measure of sowing nothing. But what farmer can have a field that he don't drop seeds in to get a harvest? If you're a farmer, how you gonna get food? How you gonna get crops if you don't drop seed? You got to drop seed. That field ain't gonna plant itself. You got to go out there and plant to get a harvest. Look at your neighbor and say, you got to plant to get more from God. If you're gonna get more from God, you got to drop that seed in. You got to see giving to God as seeding to God. And the more I seed to God, the more God gonna seed back to me. And if I do it, I'm not doing it just for no reason. I'm doing it because I honor him. I got respect for him. I got a love for him. And I say, whatever I got, you deserve it anyway, because I wouldn't have it if you didn't give it to me.
Bless you again. Wasn't that word tailored for you? Yes, my friend. You know, that's the wonderful thing about God. God has a way of taking a word that is being spoken and just allow that word to just get right into your heart and minister and talk to the inward part of you. You know, that's God's way to transform that mind. Hey, why don't you join us and connect with us through social media? We're praying for you now. Through social media, you can, our website, www.jbc-paw.org, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you can also get in on our YouTube channel. Remember, we just want to bless your life. We just want to help you. You can join us and anytime. Our telephone number again on the screen, 912-351-0423. You can order this message. You can hear it at its entirety. We want God to help you. We're praying for you now. Call us. Let us be a blessing to you. Join us next week, because we're going to have another fresh Rhema word on maximum impact that's going to bless your life.